What's up guys, Peter here from Reviews on Anything, and today we're looking at a pair of wireless Bluetooth headphones, with a little twist though. That is no pun intended, because these are called the Eel headphones and they're made by a company called LEOPHILE that you probably haven't heard of. But they claim to take a slightly different approach on product design and sort of the whole product experience, so that should be interesting to find out. I thought we would start with an unboxing since I want to make the videos with a bit more structure. So first of all, we're going to look at the packaging and how the whole unboxing experience is, and then we're going to move on to the headphones themselves. I quite like it when products come wrapped and completely sealed in plastic, like is the case here. That's always a nice, confidence-inspiring thing, I think. As you can see, the box is nice and small. A bit of printing on the back, all the things that you can do with the headphones. Apparently running, cycling, hiking, jogging and driving is all possible. You got the logo here on the side. A picture of the headphones I always like. And you can tell right away they are IP67 certified, so that is actually really good for all your active lifestylers out there. Now we gotta take the knife here to cut the plastic off, of course. There we go. Which reveals the box that opens with magnetic clips. Very nice. Nice material as well. In here you have, I hope you can see it on camera, you have a few of the specs. Charges an hour and a half, 10 hours of playback time, 300 hours of standby time, and here are a few sort of sketches of the ways that you can twist the eel and how you can actually use the headphones and so on, which is nice, which really looks good, I think, and especially with the headphones themselves presented here on the side. So definitely good points for packaging and the whole experience with unboxing. Now cutting this open reveals the headphones themselves. This plastic is a bit of a letdown, to be honest. It's a bit of sharp, nasty plastic. Same goes for the plastic in here, but don't worry, all is good. The presentation and such is, the unboxing itself is quite nice. You're presented with the Eel headphones, which you can already tell look a little bit like an eel, but more on that later. When you take these out, put them to the side, see what else you get in the box. You get a little guide in 47 languages, which is always nice. You get a micro USB charging cable, of which you probably have 400 laying around anyway, but it's nice that they include an extra one, although I never get the short versions. Besides pointing it, charging it with your laptop, this is completely useless. And since you probably charge pretty much anything with micro USB anyway, you don't really need it. What is really handy that they include is a little pouch with some extra ear tips, I assume. Yeah. Different sizes. You got the big and the small here, so that means the medium is on. And you get an extra cable clip, which is always nice to have when you either lose it or you need more cable clipping. So that's a nice touch as well. Alright, so let's have a look at the headphones themselves before we actually try them on. You can see that it is a slightly different take on what wireless Bluetooth headphones should be, since most of them have the batteries and the microphone and such in the cable itself, or in the earbuds themselves, making it sort of bulky either here or there. LEOPHILE has gone for an approach where this goes around your neck, as I'll demonstrate later, meaning you have a more stable base and nothing dangling from your ears. So that is actually quite an interesting take. It also means that they can house a bit more battery capacity, hence the 10-hour playback time and 300-hour standby time. Having a look around, nothing really shocking. Actually, there's no sort of unique features in terms of its functionality. You have the earbuds themselves, nice and small actually, with the logo on it. You have the cable clip right here, a little tag over there with the logo that you'll probably cut off. But here is where all your interface ports live. You have volume up and down and skip track buttons. You have your multifunctional button here for syncing and for powering it on and off, but also for summoning your voice assistant. But works both for iOS and Android, so you can summon Siri or Google Assistant, which is quite handy if you use this sort of as your main headset. Then on the other side, here on the this one on the bottom, you have the charging port as well. This little flap is actually reasonably sturdy, since we've looked at a few headphones where this is completely flimsy and will probably break very fast. Not the case here. It feels a bit more sturdy, but still this is a weak spot, especially when you have to bend it back this far. You can imagine it's not gonna do much good for this area right here. But it has to be like this because, like I said in the beginning, it is IP67 certified. So obviously the main feature we need to talk about is the design of these Eel headphones. Now here I got a pair of Jaybird Freedoms, and you can see that the weight and the battery and the antennas and everything is all housed here in this bit that's in the middle of the cable, which is fine, but when you hang it around your neck and put it in your ear, obviously on this side the weight has to be hanging from your ear, which can get quite uncomfortable, and especially when you move your head around, this moves around quite a bit as well. Not so much with the Eel headphones though, since this sits around your neck and sort of rests on your collarbones here, making it much more comfortable and a much more stable platform, because when I turn my head, this doesn't move about. And that becomes especially clear when you put the earbuds in your ears. Nothing is happening here, and because there's no weight hanging from your ears, it's actually very comfortable. With the very thin wires, you hardly notice that it's there. There's no swinging, nothing going on. You can even move your head quite violently when you're doing some kind of sports, but this will stay in place, and the earphones will stay in place as well. Another benefit obviously is that it doesn't get tucked out of your ear when you move around. You can look around when you're cycling or running, no problem. The cables are long enough to allow flexibility on each side, and it makes for an overall very comfortable user experience. I've used these in the gym while cycling, running and so on, and it's very comfortable. It just sits here, no weight really dangling from your ear, and the weight is taken up by your collarbone and partly by your neck. So in terms of comfort, the Eel definitely scores 10 points because it's super comfortable to wear and you hardly notice that it's there, and you can actually have the freedom of movement of your head that you don't really have with other headphones, since they have that weight dangling from your ear. Now LEOPHILE claims that the Eel's design also allows for sort of flexible carrying it around. You can carry it like so, of course, and you can even tuck the earphones themselves sort of in your shirt when you're not using them, and that's actually quite comfortable, and sort of you hardly notice that they're there, and you can just pop them out and start listening to your music. You can keep them on for quite a long time, as you saw, 300 hours of standby time, which is more than plenty, so you can keep them on throughout the day and maybe even pick them up when you get a phone call, for example. But overall, this is how you could wear them. The other option that they say and actually show on their website in the packaging is that you can use it somewhat as a bracelet, which I've tried, but that doesn't really work. You end up with something like this, with the headphones sort of semi-attached or semi-dangling. I don't know, that's not a feature as far as I'm concerned. Certainly it's possible to carry them around like that, but who carries their headphones around like that? They don't include any kind of carrying case though, like I said, but the Eel is quite rugged, if you want to call it that way. So what I do is I just roll it up and I twist the cable around and just put it in my gym bag like this. No problems really. The only thing that might happen is that the rubber from the ear tip gets stuck in your bag somewhere and you have to fish it out. But other than that, this is how I carry it around. Which actually brings us neatly to build quality. Now the product is called the Eel, and it slightly looks like an eel, I suppose, with a bit of fantasy. But the build quality is actually really good. It's a nice and rugged set of headphones that you don't have any sort of scruples about throwing it around in your bag or putting it in your pants pocket. It feels like it'll last for quite a long time, even if you treat it slightly rough. Which it should be able to handle, since these are sort of aimed at a sportive environment, so they should be able to handle a little bit of abuse. But since they're pretty much waterproof, the build quality obviously goes up right away. But the whole materials used, everything feels nice and solid, which is nice. The only complaint I have about the build quality is the sponginess of the buttons. It takes quite a bit of pressing to get them in properly, and you find yourself sort of mispressing quite a few times before they actually click and do the action that you requested. So that is something that could be improved, but I suppose that comes because everything is coated in silicone to provide the waterproofing, of course. But that would be my only point of critique in terms of build quality. Since we're talking headphones, obviously we have to talk about the audio quality of the Eels as well. And the audio quality is great. It's nothing too spectacular, because at this price point, you can't really expect equalizer apps and audio settings that you can adjust to your preference, like for example these Jaybirds that I showed earlier have. They come with an app and you can fine-tune the audio just the way you like it. Nothing like that going on here. You get what you get straight out of the box, and that's what you have to deal with, unless you want to install equalizers on your phone or whatever music device that you're using. The sound though is just fine. The beats are nice and punchy. The mids and highs are also more than plenty fine.
And since you will be using these in a sort of active environment, you know, you're not going to be judging the stage width of the audio signature, blah blah blah. You know, you just want something with a good sound that gets you through your workout, and that is exactly what the Eel delivers. Alright, so what kind of conclusions can we reach about the Eel wireless Bluetooth headphones from LEOPHILE? I think there's a few things to cover. First of all, in terms of functionality, I think they have all the boxes ticked. Audio quality is good, call quality is good, ease of use, battery life, functionality that you expect from a set of wireless headphones, it's all there. No real surprises there, you know, that's what you can expect from wireless headphones these days, but they have all bases covered there. Second of all, there is the usability experience, which I think is great. It is really smart to have the weight around your neck rather than dangling from one of your ears. And it really makes sense in an exercise environment where you're active, moving around, and you don't want to have your earbud yanked out of your ear all the time, especially when you turn your head around. It doesn't really matter if you're in the gym, if you're cycling, running, this really works. The fact that it's pretty much waterproof also helps a lot, obviously, with sweating, and the materials that they use are really suitable for a sweaty, moist environment. The only slight niggle here is the buttons and the way you have to press them. You have to press them rather hard, so they could use a bit more clickiness there, a bit more refinement. But other than that, the usability experience is great. And then there is the whole sort of additional experience that LEOPHILE wants to bring to a device like this. I think they've sort of managed to pull it off. The whole experience of these headphones from start to finish is really nice. From the moment you get the package, the unboxing, the first setup of the headphones, and the usability at the end, it all works. It's all connected with each other. They haven't really left anything out in terms of how you proceed sort of through the process of owning, buying and owning one of these headphones. So I think very well job done there in terms of customer experience from beginning to end. Are there any downsides? Well, I mentioned the buttons. I think that can be a bit better. The fact that there's no customization might be, you know, not for everybody. They have a few colors available, so that's nice. But in terms of sound signature, bass manipulation and so on, they don't do that. It's just what you get in the box is what you get, and that's what you have to work with. So it's certainly not aimed at, you know, audio files or anything, which is not necessary because it's a whole different price point than sort of high-end audio equipment. But the sound, nevertheless, is easily good enough for everyday use, for making phone calls, and for enjoying your music in the gym. So there's nothing really lacking, I think. They've covered all the bases, and I think they've come up with a great product. And it's going to be very interesting to see what other products they're going to come up with, because it's a relatively young company, and this is sort of the first iteration of the products that they're going to bring out. So it's going to be very interesting to see what's in store for LEOPHILE in the near future. So all things considered, definitely a recommendable product. I think they've done a great job in making something that is very usable, looks good, feels good, and is highly functional, which is always a bunch of qualities that I really look for in a product. It does exactly what it needs to do, and it delivers on pretty much all its promises. So good job, LEOPHILE. Thanks for providing us with the review unit. Definitely worth out for you guys to check out what LEOPHILE has to offer, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they're going to come up with in the future. Until then, I'm Peter from Reviews on Anything, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Cheers!